in today's world? That's the question we seek to answer this morning. But before that, this is what's coming up.
As a commission, we are then exposed to the risk of underfunding.
IEBC raises a red flag over insufficient funding, which it says could hamper preparations for the 2022 general elections. Thousands hit the street of Mali's capital Bamako to protest against foreign meddling in the country's affairs. Namibian opposition and traditional leaders protest as parliament votes on Germany's $1.3 billion genocide compensation. And balancing your private life and your work obligations. Why does it matter and how do you go about it? Right, a balance between your work obligations and your private life. That's what we want to discuss this morning, if it's possible, if it's achievable, and how can you go about it. We want you to be part of that conversation by tweeting us at NTV Kenya and at Victor Kiprop _. Use the hashtag #NewNormal so that we can see the tweets that you send us. The question is it possible to achieve a work-life balance? Is it possible to achieve a work-life balance? Again, you can send that feedback on social media at NTV Kenya and at Victor Kiprop. Use the hashtag #NewNormal. If you're not on social media, you can call in on the numbers that should be below your screen in a short while. But before that, let's give you a quick update of what else is happening in Kenya and across the African continent. And the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has, of course, raised concerns over its preparedness to conduct a free and fair election in August 2022 polls over delayed funding and a reduced budget. Nayoma Sampao has that story for us.
Less than a year to the 2022 general election, and questions are still arising over the preparedness of the IEBC. In the budget, which was read on June 13th, the IEBC was allocated 14.4 billion short of their budget. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati has urged the National Treasury to allocate the Commission sufficient funds ahead of the 2022 general election, saying that underfunding may flow the process.
From the last 3 years, we've been asking for funds to prepare for elections. And the first response we got was this financial year, where our budget is 40.9 billion shillings, and yet the allocation we have been given is 26.5 billion. So as a commission, we are then exposed to the risk of underfunding.
The Commission has also raised concerns of inflation of prices of election materials, which they attribute to late procurement processes. Another issue raised by IEBC is the late enactment of electoral laws. Therefore, the IEBC has urged the relevant parliamentary committees to carry out minimum reforms that will not affect the election operation plan latest December to allow them time to prepare adequately.
So internally, the Commission has done all it could. Our problems now remain external problems which we have, and which a number of them are yet to be addressed by our external stakeholders.
Politicians have been cautioned against meddling in the affairs of the Commission and, in the process, inciting Kenyans against the Commission.
So as we do our politics, we should refrain from attacking the Commission. Politicians and political parties always try to undermine the independence of the Commission during the elections and engage in false accusations of the Commission and its staff, thereby bending and damaging the image of the Commission.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has announced that it will embark on a 30-day nationwide voter registration exercise beginning October 4th, 2021. The Commission targets between 6 and 7 million new voters in the drive. Nayoma Sampao, NTV, Nairobi.
Let's turn to West Africa now, and thousands of people demonstrated in Mali's capital Bamako on Wednesday, backing the nation's military rulers and protesting perceived foreign meddling in the West African state. The protests came even as military strongman Colonel Assimi Goïta overthrew President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta last year and staged a second coup against the interim government in May this year. Faces growing international pressure to renounce a possible deal with Russian private security firm Wagner. Former colonial power France, which has thousands of troops in Mali, warned against the deal after reports that Mali was close to hiring about 1,000 Wagner paramilitaries surfaced this month. Mali has been struggling to quell a brutal jihadist insurgency that first emerged in 2012 before France intervened in 2013, but its involvement has led to periodic protests in Mali and is frequently criticized on social media. And about 400 protesters stormed Namibia's parliament on Tuesday as the National Assembly was due to vote on a $1.3 billion compensation offer from Germany to atone for its 1904 and 1908 genocide against the Herero and Nama people in Namibia. Protesters, led by opposition and traditional leaders from the affected communities, marched through the capital Windhoek before climbing over a fence to enter the parliament building, arguing that the sum was too small and objecting that they were not involved in the negotiations with Germany. In May this year, Germany formally acknowledged that it had committed genocide in colonial-era Namibia, where German colonial forces killed thousands of Herero and Nama people between and after the tribes rebelled against German rule of the colony. Right, let's get you started on that conversation that we promised you this morning. We are talking about what you'd refer on your day-to-day life as work and life balance. But what does it mean to you as a person, and how do you define it? How do you go about it? That's what we want to understand this morning, and we want you to be part of this conversation by, of course, engaging us on social media or calling in on the numbers that should be below your screen this morning. We ask you from where you sit, do you think work-life balance is achievable? Do you think a balance between work and private life is achievable? You can send us your feedback on social media at NTV Kenya and at Victor Kiprop _. Make sure you use the hashtag #NewNormal so that we can see the tweets that you send us. You can also send the same feedback on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where we're streaming live. And if you're not on social media, you surely have a mobile phone and you can call in on the numbers below your screen. Allow me to introduce the people helping us with today's discussion about work-life balance. And in studio with me this morning is Muthoni Mureithi. She's a human resource specialist and co-founder of Mshauri Careers. Good morning, Muthoni, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Victor.
All right. Also joining me in studio this morning, Nelly Kinyanjui. She's a holistic wellness coach. Good morning, Nelly, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning, Victor.
All right. And also joining us virtually this morning is Abby Naini Turere. She's a youth mentor. Abby, good to see you after such a long time. A very good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good to see you, Abby. It's been a minute. Let me just begin with you, Muthoni and Nelly, because this whole thing is something that it means different things to different people. But maybe if we have a a book or a dictionary definition of it, how would we define what you'd call work-life balance? What does it mean and why does it matter?
Thank you, Victor. That is an excellent place to start.
Yeah.
Now, work is what we do to earn a living.
Which is what I'm doing now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
And life is everything else. It's time with family, it's time to ourselves, it's time to relax, explore our hobbies, and the time we apportion to these two things is what is often looked at from a lens of balance or imbalance. Yeah. So the integration of this is what one would say is the work-life balance concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I go to Nelly, is it achievable in your own personal opinion?
I think it comes with seasons. And there are moments in which you do have to allot some more time to work than the other things that, you know, that affect who you are. But there is a healthy way to do it. And often the unhealthy way is what leads to burnout and really affects our entire wellness and well-being.
Okay. Nelly, from where you sit, why does this whole thing about balancing my work life and my private life matter? Why should I care about it?
As just picking up from what Muthoni said, I think when we think about balance, it's different for each and every one of us because each of us has different needs at different seasons of our life. So it's important for us to be able to know at this particular time of my life, what should I be looking at? Is it my children? Is it my play life? Is it my wellness? Is it my work? It's just really thinking about what is of priority to do because each of us is totally different. What is important for you as Victor or Muthoni is different from what is important to me. So it's being able to know what is my priority at this particular time and being able to pick up on that and prioritizing it when you need to.
Okay, all right. Even before I ask you guys how to go about it, let me just bring in Abby and ask her. Abby, maybe from where you sit, what does work-life balance mean to you as a person?
As a person, I often believe that work-life balance is quite overrated. One, there's a level to which it's almost impossible. So I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life integration.
Okay.
And it's the ability, yes, let me leave it at that.
Definitely a very interesting point, and I think we will be, because there are those who ask if there's this whole new concept about work-life blend as opposed to work-life balance, but we will get to that in a short while. But really, does balance, from where you sit, Nelly, mean that at 5 o'clock, once I've left the office, I'm not picking a call from anyone?
Yes and
so I
no.
see my boss calling, and I'm sure she's watching right now. She's calling, and I'm like, you know what? It's past 5 o'clock. I want to achieve my work-life balance.
I think work-life balance does not necessarily mean when you switch off from work, you completely switch off. But as I said, it's about being able to know what is of priority to you at that time. So we can't say today, Victor, you're going to switch off your phone when you know you have a project that you're sitting on that is very urgent. But there are times when you know you've already done what you need to do at the time that you're supposed to do it. Then you can decide, okay, at 5 o'clock when I go home, please don't call me. But it's not an excuse to say that don't call me after 5, I'm balancing my life. But it's just being able to also prioritize, balance your time and plan your time accordingly so that you're able to do work when you're supposed to be working, and you're also doing the other things that also take care of your general welfare of your life at the same time.
Okay. And as I mentioned, I'm definitely very much interested in steps by myself, by my employer, regarding how I can achieve this whole work-life balance thing. But before we get there, for anyone who's watching right now, why should they care about this? What are the risks I'm looking at if I do not achieve this sort of balance, Nelly?
When you look at the whole situation of work-life balance and whether it's just the two being balanced on a weighing scale, it's not really a weighing scale and it's not really balancing the two. But it's looking at your life. What are you experiencing? And what has happened to us, we tend to prioritize on work.
Yeah.
Why? Because work is what gives us money to fund all these other things that we need to do. And what happens, or what ends up to happen to us, we end up getting burnout, we end up getting sick, because we're spending so much time just work, and we are straining our bodies, we're straining our minds. We're not focusing on things that actually calm us down, relax us, or even take us to a place where we're just being able to not focus on just work. So what happens to us is we're stressed out, we get burnout, we get, sometimes some symptoms are like you get headaches throughout, you're wondering what's going on, you pop in a pill and you continue with your day. And sometimes, unfortunately to say, it may lead to things like high blood pressure and even type 2 diabetes, because all this also lead to how are we also leading our life in terms of, are we finding time to exercise?
Yeah.
Are we finding time to eat nutritious food? So it's a whole mix of things that leads to different things at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even before I let you go on that bit, because really the diabetes and being sick is the far end of it. How do I start to notice that, hey, things are bad for me?
I think small things like what I said, you start feeling indigestion, and you're thinking, okay, I think I ate something bad.
Yes, because I'm wondering, why would indigestion have anything to do with my work?
Maybe you're just sitting the whole day, you're not moving, you're not hydrating, because you're just focused on your laptop. I think now with the virtual work life, you're really just focusing on your laptop throughout the day. And if you're working from home, even worse, because you wake up straight to your laptop, you work throughout the day, you work till 5, you're like, I'm at home, so it's still okay. Continue working till late, even at midnight. I have clients who come and tell me, I work throughout. I found myself throughout, I'm just on my laptop. And when you start seeing such signs, so indigestion, you start having headaches. Headaches, why? Because you're tense, you tend to be tense, you tend to not drink water again, you tend to be just stressed out because you're probably focusing on something that you're not being able to digest, or being able to even have time just to sit down and just calm down, because there's small, simple things that you can actually do to bring you back to that present moment. Then there's also a lot of worrying. So you're worrying about the past, about things that happened earlier. You're worrying about the future. So you're wondering, okay, if I don't get this project done, what is my boss going to do? Am I going to get fired? And probably it's because you didn't at the beginning set realistic expectations for your boss. You said, I'm going to give you in an hour, while it's work that needed a day to be done. So what happens to you? You give yourself pressure. So all this, it's a lot of things that come to the back end that contribute to the whole situation of the causes or the signs that you start to see. So it's an accumulation of things over and over and over.
Okay. Let me come back to you, Muthoni. I mean, clearly from the side effects, the health, what it means for our health, it's something that we should be concerned. But before I get there, what are these two small tips that I can use to try and manage and get some sort of a balance between what I do in the office and what it means for my private life?
I'd like to shift the responsibility a little bit to the people who design the work that you're doing.
I'll be definitely coming to that, and because you've been practicing human resource for a while, I'd be very keen on what my employer has to do to help me get that balance. But anyway, let's just begin there then.
But to follow your train of thought, the tips that I can do. As Muthoni, I've burned out multiple times, by the way. If you look at my historical performance appraisal feedback, constantly I'd be told, take time off, rest a little bit more, don't sit too long at your desk. And these are things as you're coming up in your career. You're young, Victor. You look very, very young.
Is this a compliment? I look young. I might not be young. Thank you, though.
But the workplace is filled with young people who are between 21, 22 to 35. And this is where you have a lot to prove. And you feel you have to put in the time to impress, to really, leave your mark. So the immediate tips are to grasp at the low-hanging fruit. And here is essentially time off. And make it true time off. And that's something actually is like a muscle you have to to build. Before you look at everything else, you have 20-something days of leave. The law accords you that. When you take time off, switch off. Start there. It's as simple as that. Okay. And when we come back to look at the work itself, health metrics that organization monitor, a lot of it is leave. And if leave is not taken, it is the first point of indication that there is a work-life imbalance that could lead to some dire consequences.
Okay, and I like that you point out these issues because, I mean, if you speak to people in the industry, colleagues, they tell you even the 2 days weekend that we get sometimes feels like a 30-minute lunch break.
Exactly. The weekend isn't for achieving balance. The weekend is for rest. So that level of balance that will work for you, it requires a lot more time. It requires a week, it requires 2 weeks. The law does give you the right to take consecutive leave days. So that time is what you should take to invest in ways that can help you, as Nelly has said, incorporate wellness aspects to reflect, you know, to assess the work that you're doing that is unnecessary, to give you mental space to gather, courage, to give your employers feedback that some of the things that you may be doing may lead you to burnout. Okay. So I'm a big proponent of taking elongated times off so that you can do things that can adjust the sort of imbalances that you might be seeing in your life.
I like that you raised the issue of burnout. Let me just bring in Abby at this point. Abby, in your career, have you at one point found yourself feeling that the relationship between your private life and your work life is becoming some bit of unhealthy?
Yes, absolutely. I come in as a young person who had to resign from my job. Okay. In the peak of a pandemic. Yeah. Just because the balance was not there, the so-called balance. I remember where I was previously working. I mean, I loved my job. Yeah. I loved what I was doing. And I think just like one of the ladies has said, when you're quite young and energetic, you have something to prove to yourself. You want to get to that mark. And you start extremely pushing yourself. I remember I was working 6 days a week. And even on the 7th day, which is like on the Sunday, I was still working, trying to plan for Monday. Yeah. So you get extremely lethargic. So there are telltale signs where you get to notice, okay, fine, there's a problem. So like I remember for myself, I used to get extremely fatigued, and it wasn't the normal, I'm tired, I think I'll sleep it out and wake up the next morning. It was, I'm genuinely fatigued, and give me a whole week off, and it's still not enough to cater to what's going on. Because I remember I was also changing, like my countenance was even changing. I'm not really a light person. I was getting darker. I was losing conversations with my family. I had people in my life constantly make questions and statements like, Abby, we no longer see you anymore, or we don't feel your presence. And bearing in mind, I'm a young person, so I have quite a lot going on, because there's also a statement that has been made. It's good to understand your season, because my season was dictating. I had to work, I had to do life, and my life on the side dictated. I had school, I do ministry, so I had ministry, I had family, I had friends, and most of all, the person I was forgetting, I had me. Okay. Who is the person I constantly used to forget. So absolutely, in my career, there's that balance that I lacked. Yeah. And I had to make stringent decisions. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe before, how long did it take you between contemplating the decision to the day that you decided, you know what, it's done?
I think a whole year.
A whole year of thinking about it.
Yes. So as I said, I constantly used to have these two thoughts of, I think I need to let go. But the thing is, the minute you're in a career path that you genuinely love, you genuinely admire, like you wake up each and every single morning and you're like, this is it. Like I genuinely want to do this. Not even because I want to prove a mark or I want to get to that point, but I actually love it. Like I love what I do. I love the people. I love the interactions that I get with people. Yeah. However, I constantly have to question every single statement. I leave the office and I'm like, I think there's more to life than this. And that is the impetus that constantly used to drive me, because I used to wake up every morning and I'm like, you know what, I think Abby, there's more to life than this being constantly lethargic or just being slow in what I'm doing. Yeah, so I can say it took an year, and I knew, like, by the time I was leaving in the middle of a pandemic, when everyone was people were being fired, me, I wasn't being fired, I was there. And I decided, you know what, I think enough is enough. I have to choose me before anything else.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Abby. And I think, ladies, she brings in a very interesting perspective of just what happens and how far this could take you to the point of quitting your job. You don't know what you're going to eat. But really, another perspective that she has also introduced is the importance of work. We cannot overlook it. This is what pays my rent, Nelly. This is what I eat. This is what my children eat. And I mean, I'm 20-something. I have goals to chase. How do I start to overlook these issues that are important to me and then remember that my health also matters?
I think what we need to look at first is, what are we balancing? When we talk about work-life balance, what are these we're balancing again? And just going back to that balance, it's looking at what are these components of our life as a person, because we're a whole person. We're not just about work. So there are these components. It's your life. I mean, it's your life, and it's a holistic life as a person. So we have, are you living on purpose? And she said she loved her job. She loved what she was doing.
Yes.
Are you living on purpose? Are you looking out for the food that you're eating? Your movement. Are you moving, or are you just sitting in one spot? Are you financially? How are you financially? Your relationships. How are your relationships? And relationships here, it's with your spouse, with your friends, with your family. And I think she brought that out as well.
Yeah.
There are all these areas. Your rest and relaxation. What do you do for rest? Sleeping. How long are you sleeping? Are you working till midnight and waking up at 6 a.m.?
Okay.
So it's looking at all these things in your life as a person and looking at what matters. And because work matters, it's also being bold enough to know, to tell, as she said, to tell your supervisor or your boss, this work, and as I said earlier, this work will take me an hour, or this work will take me a day. Let me get back to you in a day's time. I'll give you proper feedback.
Okay.
Instead of just telling your boss, yes, I will get it done, and then you suddenly don't get it right.
Okay.
So it's about being able to create your work boundaries, being very clear the boundaries that you have, both at work, at home, and in all the relationships that you have. So that you're able to create yourself in all these situations without feeling burnout, without feeling that like you're not showing up as yourself. So it's also about being authentic, because if you're authentic, then you're showing up as your true self.
Okay.
And something else I just also want to bring about. We know when we say work-life balance, we somehow think it's only for those who are employed.
Okay.
But for me, I found that even when you're in business, you also get to find yourself getting burnt out. Yeah, because now you're loving what you're doing. It's either you work or you don't work. I mean, it's either you work or you work to ensure that you make some money from your business. So it's even a dire situation also for those who are working. Okay. For those who are in business as well.
And I like that she also mentioned the thing about loving her job, because I mean, I can't help but think that sometimes your passion for your job also masks, you know, an unhealthy kind of ecosystem for you.
Yes, it does. And we're living in a beautiful time, Victor, where there's a lot of information about self-help online. I don't know, on Instagram, for example, for me, my feed is filled with all these quotes about taking care of yourself and you matter and put yourself first. And now more than ever, we have that information seeping into our minds a lot more than our parents did. If we call them the baby boomer generation. Huh? Oh,
so you I'm not. Okay. So but you're saying we are a bit more aware of our situations than our parents?
Yes, we are. And it's, in itself, it's a blessing, but it's also a curse.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm also thinking about this, because sometimes taking care, and she's mentioned she loves her job, she had to quit it. So sometimes it means that taking care of yourself also means sacrificing on your goals.
It So
I can see Nelly is disagreeing with
your
me.
Your goals should be taking care of yourself, you see.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
because why are you working? You're working, as you said, to earn an income, to feel fulfilled. The younger generation is working to feel fulfilled, not just to be occupied during the day. As
we're not just working to work.
No, I just don't want. It's not a case of waking up in the morning so that people can know that I'm in the office. No, it's now for this generation that is filling our population now. It's when I am working, how am I feeling? And it's very evident that that is leading to a great deal of resignations now. It's all over the headlines internationally, yeah?
Nelly, you're shaking your head seriously. You definitely don't agree with me.
No, I don't think you need to lose your goals, definitely. But I think the thing is, you need to plan yourself well. You need to plan yourself, and you need to prioritize. So prioritize what is necessary for you at that time. If work is important, prioritize. But also know that you're not going to work 24 hours because it's important. Know that I need to also take time to rest. And rest does not necessarily, as much as it means taking time off and doing all that, it's also taking breaks throughout the day. Are you taking time after you finish here? Take time, go walk around Nation Center and just see, breathe the fresh air outside, maybe with a lot of exhaust. But
fanya kazi town, ukitembea unagongwa na gari, mtu anataka kukuibia simu. It's not even.
It's loud. It's noisy. Yes, the exhaust
umekanyaga miti ya mtu kwa street.
It's not even. It's a stressor.
Or find time, go chat with a friend, a colleague, go sit with a colleague, just talk something else off work. So what I mean is, don't just spend your whole 8 hours in a day just focusing on that work, but spend time throughout the day taking breaks, taking walks, take time to drink your water, do some breathing. If you feel you've got it to a point where your head is just feeling tight, you need to give yourself a break, just sit down, go to a corner, do some breathing, and come back, and you'll feel more centered. So it's about also including these specific tips in your daily life as well.
Is it okay to do the major shifts that Abby has done, like quitting your job or changing jobs, so that you can try and achieve this balance?
Definitely. It's a risk, but if your mental health is at risk, you have to weigh your options. Will you end up burning out and seeping deeper and deeper into anxiety and depression? Or is giving yourself a break? And again, as I said, I'm a proponent for elongated periods of time to give you perspective. For you to move as far away from that work or as far away from that life. Because the life could be the one creating imbalance too sometimes. Especially if you're not happy at home. You need some level of distance between you and issues that might be making you feel like there is a level of imbalance. And if quitting is an option for you, if it is, and it won't put you at financial risk, that might lead you to more stress. Because that's another thing that you have to look out for, of course. By all means, do it if you can afford it. And lean on your support system too. Don't underestimate the love and affection that may exist within your network. And again, the good things don't come easy. So if you are feeling extremely burnt out, don't wait to flip the table in the office or break down
or to throw a glass at someone.
Yes, or God forbid, harm yourself. So I personally am a proponent of weighing your risks financially, and if you need some perspective and distance, not to just sit at home and watch Netflix or TV all day, but if you just need a safe distance between you and the things that are triggering you in your life and work, take them responsibly. There are sabbatical options too. You might be surprised that your employer can give you a month or two off. If you
not in this economy, Mavani.
You would be surprised. It's a case of just asking.
In fact, sometimes, and we'll come back to the issue of what the role that employers have to play in this. But sometimes, I mean, approaching your boss with this whole issue of, you know what, I feel like I can't do this anymore, I need some break. And they start to see you like some sort of a burden. And they know there's someone who's willing to do double your shift for the same, let's say, same pay or same conditions.
certainly there are risks to asking for a sabbatical. And a sabbatical here means you're not going to be paid. It's just that once you get some perspective and time off, this 1 month or 2 months, when you come back, there will be that seat for you, Victor. But there's a risk and a caveat that will come with that. Perhaps your job is so important that it has to be filled by somebody. But what else can you stand losing if you don't ask?
This sabbatical thing is sounding like something you've tried.
Yes, I am a big advocate for you asking, for one, and for organizations working it into something that they do offer, albeit after a certain period of time. Of course, it's not something you 1 month in and you're asking for sabbatical, but it's to weigh the benefits of actually affording that value to your employees and what long-term it will unlock, because it's a doorway to a lot of loyalty and mental wellness that the organization will keep reaping long after this person has gone on sabbatical and come back.
Abby, I mean, there are people who take these steps when they already know I have a better job that has a more flexible hours and a flexible schedule. But yours was one of those that you just wake up and decide to go. You don't know what you'll do the next day. Maybe how did you, perhaps, if this question is okay with you, how did you then survive after that without your job, without the income that you're used to?
Yes. Well, I generally just need to wake up one day and decide I'm done. As I told you, it was like it was almost like an year of contemplating leaving. However, I can tell you this for sure. By the time I was leaving, I had made calculations that were quite precise, and I knew I have this amount of money, or rather, I can survive with this. I'd made calculations that I knew then I can survive for the next number of months, or number of days with this. So my calculations were quite precise, because I think it would be foolish just to wake up one day and decide, I'm leaving. I don't know where I'm going to get money. I don't know how I'm going to survive. How are we paying rent? How are we getting food? It's in the middle of a pandemic. The cost of rising has shot like nobody's business. How are we doing this? So one, it was an extreme step of boldness and faith. And number two, it was quite calculated, and it's because it's a decision that I had to. And I know there's a statement that has been made. The minute your job becomes detrimental to your health, now at that point, you start questioning. Because like I said, I was getting to a point where even the extreme long days just to rest, like even just being given a whole week to sleep, was not enough. I remember being at work, and anytime I would get a work call, I would twitch. Like even just being in the house and getting a work-related call, I would tweet. My system would twitch, and I was like, okay, I think this is it. I cannot do this anymore, you know?
Abby, then, given your situation, do you think there are people who are perhaps or who are still in the position that you are in but cannot afford to take the steps that you have taken because perhaps they do not have, let's say, the kind of, they don't have a backup beyond their job?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's quite sad that we live in a generation where we live hand to mouth. Some of us know that beyond that amount of money that I'm being paid, that check that comes every month, I can't live beyond it. And the problem becomes we become a slave to that check. As a generation and as people, to the point where I know if I actually left, thank God I don't have a family. Thank God I don't have children who are dependent on that amount of money coming in each and every single month. But sadly, there are people who are actually still enslaved by that check because they know if I was to leave, my children cannot get school fees. My house cannot even get that money. And it's so sad that we actually have to get there. So there are actually people who are out there who don't know where to go. And something interesting that I came to learn later after I'd left is that there are actually situations and companies that actually offer mental health help, where there are actually therapists and psychologists that are offered by companies. But it's interesting because such services are never announced. You know, like you're not coming, like people don't come and tell you, you know, if you're actually going through this and you need someone to talk to,
we have this available.
We have this, you know, at your disposal.
Yeah.
So it's quite sad because, and not just that, this young generation, it's actually in this, like the entire generation that we're living in, people are dying slowly inside, yet there are actually services that are offered freely that can help.
Okay.
And the other thing I can actually emphasize on is, do not dumb down your social support. Because I remember there's a point I was really holding my job in such high regards that I was not able to hang out with people who cared about me. You know, and these are the same people who are going to come and ground you and ask the tough questions of, Abby, are you okay? Abby, you need to slow down.
Okay.
Yet you're dumbing them down because you think, you know, I'm actually chasing something here. You know, I need to bag this money.
Okay.
I need to secure this career. I need to secure my identity here and there. Yet you're actually losing out on this other side of your life. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Abby. I think she's really painted the picture really well. But then this brings me to the next point, ladies. And does my employer then have a role to play in helping me achieve some sort of a balance? Nelly.
Yes, actually, as she was speaking, I was itching to
to respond. Yes.
To respond because I think she brought out a very important factor, which is not spoken about. That there are people who can help when you're in situations where you're feeling stressed out, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling burnt out, and that's why we as wellness coaches actually exist. We exist so that we can be able to help you, be able to focus, have clarity, have confidence, and be able to just live a life where you're enjoying the life to the fullest. So one thing, as you asked about employers, I think it's very important for companies to have wellness programs in place. And by wellness programs, I don't mean paying for the gym for your employees and having lunchtime talks on health, on nutrition. No, but I mean a holistic solution where each employee is looked at, and it should actually be part of their PDA or personal development plan for the employee, that they look at your performance, yes, as in terms of your work, your work deliverables, but also as a person. Are you taking breaks? What's going on with you in terms of your family, your relationships, your life? Are you enjoying what you're doing right now? I know it happens, but not to the level that it should be. And it can only happen if wellness consultants and wellness coaches are involved in these processes, so they're able to help companies develop proper wellness programs that will be able to help employees. Okay. Because what I've found is, and I want to just go back a little bit to the question you had asked earlier, should you actually leave because you're struggling? What happens is you leave employment, you go and start doing your own thing because that's the point where you think you'll get freedom and time and everything, but you'll bring the whole culture you had in your workplace and the habits that you had in the workplace to your business, to your personal gig, and you'll still continue with the same cycle again. So the thing is, seek help at the beginning, when it's still not yet too serious, so that you can be able to go through life in the best way you can. Okay.
Muthoni, but I mean, you've been a human resource manager for quite some time, and you'll understand the reason I'm asking this question, because the same person that Nelly wants me to ask them for help is the same person who understands that the moment I ask for a review, they ask me what's wrong, I say the work is too much, I want some hours shelved off my daily routine. Sometimes it means it's hurting the company's bottom line, and we are after profit.
I do agree with Nelly to a certain extent in incorporating wellness programs at
the
work.
Human resource side of you is showing.
No, but it's at board level, but organizations, even business owners, no matter how small or big your business is, you're the ultimate decision maker. Now, if you look at bigger organizations, they have boards, they have CEOs, they have executive management, and the burden is on them to really look at what work is being done. And I'm listening to the issue of, I enjoy what I am doing, you know, but still I'm getting a call.
Yes.
And I am in a nervous anxiety fit, you know? And it's not, for me, it doesn't speak to, I talk to a psychiatrist alone or a counselor alone, or take short breaks, but because within those short breaks I'll still get that call that will send me into some level of a nervous fit. But it's the composition of that work. In HR, we are responsible for designing how work looks like and how a human being is meant to execute it, alongside technology and other people who contribute to whatever value add it is, from manufacturing this glass, for example, or distilling water, or producing a show like this. Our responsibility is to keep ahead of the best ways to do this work.
Okay.
Such that the man hours, as they're called, are put into really good use, and conscious psychological triggers are also addressed. And that's why technology is also an important thing. But where we fall short, even at board level, is the interest of how frequently our jobs re-looked at. From the day we designed job X, 6 years ago when we hired person Y for it, have we gone back to look at how it's designed and being done? Have we heard from them? Has what they've done evolved? Has the technology around the world affected how the work is being done? Are there tasks in there that really don't make sense? Are there reports that
now, on that bit about something not making sense? Because most managers, and if you go to 90% of contracts today, it's always about your reporting hours is 8 a.m. and the time you leave is 5 p.m. No one cares about what you do during the 8 hours.
Exactly.
They just care that you're sitting on your desk and we are seeing you where we want to see you. And
it's not, I don't believe, and I represent the HR fraternity here, I don't believe it's a case of not caring, but it's sometimes we forget that the way a job is designed changes, and it's a person that maketh the job. So the young lady who's joining us from Zoom appears to be a very vibrant, creative person. So as an HR business partner or someone who's employed her, I would like to see what factors she brings into the job that dispels the assumptions I had about it. Because then if she can see there are things about her that are not really working out on the job, and she doesn't have an ear to listen, that in itself could be a trigger for her to feel undervalued, overworked, disconnected with the job, in as much as the essence of whatever she's doing, she actually likes doing. So for me, Victor, it's all about paying more attention to the work in itself. What does it contain? Listening to the doer and the factors they bring into the work and the creativity, and challenging them too. If you're to redesign this job to make it even more worthwhile for this organization, how would you do it? And we'd be surprised what would come back.
Nelly, I'll not ask Muthoni this question because obviously she'll be biased. Do you think then our managers, especially human resource managers in Kenya, do the kind of comprehensive reviews that she's talking about now?
The good thing is that I've also been an employee, and I did not experience I did not experience what she's describing. What I got is a job description. You go do. You report 8 to 5. You have 30 days of leave. That's it. The only time when I get to see my HR person again is when I'm applying for leave, or when I'm due for review, which is done between my supervisor and my HR person. But the issue is there's not that concern, or that, not concern, there's not that checking on the individual, the performer, the one who is supposed to be doing the job. The job is very clear, yes, but this person who is supposed to be doing the job, you need to also check how are they doing, because maybe their performance is actually being affected by their relationships at home. Maybe their performance is being affected because they applied for a job, yes, they were desperate, they got a job, but it's not a right fit, but they took it up anyway. So they're not happy in that position. So it's constantly having a continuous review, as Muthoni said, to ensure that this employee is happy at their point of need every day.
Okay. Abby, before I take this break, then it's been a year since you took this major and very huge step in your career. Would you say then that it has paid off?
Yes. Yes.
Definitely from the way you're happy, I think it did.
Yes. I lack further answers. Like, yes, it has absolutely paid off.
Yeah.
I've been able to pursue what really matters to me. I've been able to, I got a job that, another job that I was able to now plug in other spaces in my life without putting my job in, making it detrimental. I was able to, I've been able to check on my health, eat healthy, if it's working out, work out, if like pretty much it was a decision that I'm glad I took. I absolutely miss the place that I was working. You miss the people, but it's counting the cost. You have to count the cost of the decisions you're making. Yeah, but it did. It did.
All right. Thank you, Abby. So definitely we have all agreed that these things are important. It's important that our managers help us achieve this balance. But what happens when our managers don't do it? Should we take the law, as we call it, take the law on our own hands and then do what Abby has done, of course, in pursuit for the very much needed work-life balance? We answer all those questions when we come back from this quick break. Don't go too far because Abby, Muthoni, and Nelly are staying with me.
Customer preferences are changing daily. You wake up one day, an innovation has come up and the customer wants a service in a way that you've not delivered before. Textbook Center aims to provide service, products and solutions that exceed our customers' expectations. Partnering with Sendi Transport ensures that we are able to deliver on our promise of being more than a bookshop.
Did you know at Ruiru Mabati Factory, we offer free delivery within the same day? Did you know at Ruiru Mabati Factory, you can open an account and lipa pole pole at your convenience? Did you know at Ruiru Mabati Factory, you can get customized sizes according to your roof plan to avoid wastage? Call us now on 0111 050 700. Ruiru Mabati Factory, mali safi kwa bei poa.
Kuwa smart na ujaribu Zenka 0% loans for first-time borrowers. Zenka, smart loans for smart people.
He showed up drunk. He says he has problems with his family. Cried on my shoulder.
Well, that guy is so abusive.
This is perfect, Jack. This is perfect. And now I have him where I want him. I have to take advantage of this.
Take advantage of what? What are you talking about? In what sense? What are you planning now?
Everything is working out so well, Jack. He's mad with his wife and his daughter. He thinks I'm the only friend he has. Let's see what I can do about Lenine, okay? I'll talk to you later, Jack. Bye for now.
Lucozade. Energy to get through it.
I'm growing up, I'm growing into every moment. So if
Nurture the moment. Minute Maid Nutri Defenses, fortified with vitamin E and zinc to help improve your defense system.
AMRC's objectives are aligned with the government's affordable housing pillar of the Big Four agenda. Visit any of the participating financial institutions today and start your home ownership journey. Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, unlocking liquidity for affordable housing.
You're watching Your World on NTV. Thank you for staying with us. We are talking about work-life balance and how you can go about it, why it's important and why you need to pay much more attention, of course, before the side effects start weighing in on your health. And I still am with my guest this morning, Muthoni Muriithi. She's a HR specialist and co-founder of Mshauri Careers with me in studio, as well as Nelly Kinyanjui. She's a holistic wellness coach. And joining us virtually this morning is the amazing Abby Naini Turere. She's a youth mentor and of course someone who's giving us a personal story this morning. But remember, we asked you to be part of this conversation, by the way, on social media. Send the feedback on Twitter, on Facebook and on YouTube. We asked you our question of the day: is it possible to achieve a work-life balance? Do you think it's possible to achieve a work-life balance? Here's what some of you are saying. Kahuro Kangugi says, it's possible, but not for hand-to-mouth earners. Thank you, Kahure. We have Hilary Kihuga who says, very possible when you leave office, switch off that phone, which office people know about. Washa kale kamulika mwizi kako na line ya watu wa nyumbani pekee. Thank you very much, Hilary. Thank you for watching. And we have Mankevo who says, this life, no balance. This life, no balance. I can't remember where that is from. I think it's from a certain West African song, but thank you very much for sending us that feedback. But really, if we can just comment briefly on the feedback, I think someone mentioned the thing about this balance thing is not for what to hand to mouth.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
This economy is not driven solely by formally employed people. And hand to mouth here is relative. Because you could be, in my profession, I'm privy to a lot of information.
Like
you could be earning a net income of $1 million shillings, but it is a hand to mouth affair. But I get what the follower online is saying.
Yeah.
And that's why whatever Nelly has said is important. At a personal level, you have to earn a living. You have to go out there and pay your bills. But don't forget about who you are truly, and that you're only as good as the energy you have on reserve. So if your mental energy is low, that hand to mouth that you have, you're privileged to have, because it's a gift to have an ability to earn, will soon go out the window because you'll stress your body, you'll affect your faculties, and something might happen. So either way, in whichever scenario you're in, taking time to look after your physical, emotional, mental, and financial wellness is important.
I mean, Neri, this is a bit of a catch-22 for me, because I mean, there are jobs, kama kazi ya mjengo, for instance, the more you work, the more you earn. And I've been a correspondent before, where you're writing for a newspaper, and the more stories you write, the more you earn. And so you find yourself in a situation where you definitely want to take some break. But taking some break means the amount you earn every month continues to drop. Ukikaa nyumbani 1 week, imeshuka na 25%. Another week, half by half. So there's really a challenge there.
Yes, I totally agree. It's a challenge, especially, as you've said, watu wa mjengo, definitely, the more you earn. And most of these jobs, the more you, most of the casual jobs, the more you do, the more you get to get paid, which is true. But also, what I would want someone to think about is themselves, where they are at. How are they feeling? So you have to check in with yourself. Are you feeling in a place where you can't produce anymore? Are you in a place where you're feeling you can't be creative anymore? You try get to your computer and you're just feeling blank. then find a way to take a break. Find a way that refreshes you, then come back to work. So it's really looking at yourself as an individual. But I also want to ask, because sometimes we say we are overwhelmed and we are overwhelmed and we are feeling so stressed out, but what are we spending our time on? Because we all have the same equal hours in a day, but what are you doing with your time? Because sometimes we are busy, but busy doing on non-core things while the core things are pending. And the core things is what now you rush to do and it gives you stress. So it's also about prioritizing and planning your time very well so that you're able to have time for your breaks and have time to actually do what matters.
Muthoni, I think Nelly has raised an excellent point because we also live in a society where we are after this making it thing. You get what I'm trying to say? You see people who are millionaires have what I would refer to as enough. Not even sleeping, by the way, working very hard. And every time you look around your colleagues, someone has the main job that you guys are doing. He's selling something on the side. He has a biashara somewhere. And even when you feel like you are sort of achieving the balance, if you look around, you feel like people are really doing big things and you're the one who's being left behind. You're starting to look like you're a lazy person.
Yeah. There's a quote I love. It's a little poster that's, that I share a lot. That we are all given different exams in life, so we can't copy one another's answers. You focus on the unique exam question that you've been given in your life. So focusing on that which you've been dealt is at the heart of you accepting your situation, being content with it, and not feeling like you're losing out or you're disadvantaged.
Lakini Muthoni, watu wananunua mashamba na mabroti na magari.
Lakini ni sawa, lakini wacha wanunue, lakini pia ujishughulishe na kile ambacho uko nacho. Protect what you have and nurture it. And by all means, be inspired by those people with the big shambas. Let them motivate you, but don't strive to copy. I have friends who have their own law firms, for example, or their own fashion design businesses, and if you're trying to be a well-known law firm like Anjawala or Momans, and that's all you keep thinking about and daydreaming about when you're at work, and what Nelly said is true. What you're actually doing is important. If all you're doing is fixating, obsessing, then that in itself will cause you a lot of stress.
If you go on YouTube, you'll find
what you
these
have,
motivational speakers about success comes with blood, you know.
What is success? So, motivational books are there in abundance to confuse you about what the definition of success looks like. But what if you simplified it to having a good night's sleep? You know, simplify it to that my goal tonight is to sleep peacefully. Then you ask yourself, okay, so what does it take for me to sleep peacefully? Like Abby, for her, she needed to take certain steps. That's Abby's story. I cannot go copy her answers because my questions are unique. What does it take for me? Kama kazi yangu ni ya mjengo na nahitaji kulala vizuri.
In kulala vizuri italeparend surely.
Lakini kulala ni getting 8 hours of sleep so that you can wake up early, be on time to queue, because we know kazi ya mjengo first come first serve. Ama kama unajuana na contractors, whatever, but it is a case of prioritizing. What is important to you is the strength you're bringing to the job.
Nelly,
then focus on building that.
If you go to every village, you will find this person. I don't know why they're always in every village. I'm sure they're in yours, mine, and even Avi's. They talk about huyu mtu akona mali mingi, malori, mashamba, lakini hata haenjoyingi life, hata hajawahi furahia life. Hakuangi hata na 1 minute. Every time you meet him, they're always busy.
Exactly, that's true. And I think we are always trying to strive for the next big thing, But I think the key here is, as she said, I think there's a lot of comparisonitis, comparing ourselves, and you want to be like the next person. You want to, because even this person who has malori mingi and all that, they're trying to get to a certain level. So it's really being very clear. As an individual, what's your vision? What do you want to achieve as an individual? What are your goals? Then stick to that. You can be inspired, as she said, by the next person, but focus on what you need to do. Stick to your lane, and you'll be able to achieve that. And if you stick to your lane and you have a vision, your health vision, you want to be well at the end of the day. You don't have all these accumulated wealth, but you're not well at the end of the day. So you also want to be well. So have your vision very clear on exactly what your priorities are. If it's money, what's your priority? If it's your health, what's your goal? Then work towards that. You can be inspired along the way, but focus on your own lane and stick to your own lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Muthoni, let's come back to the work setting here because, I mean, managers will tell you that managing people is not easy. And every time we try to do what you are proposing that we do, which is to listen to the concerns of literally every employee, people will tell you that we mwingine atakwambia nataka kufanya kazi Sunday saa 8 usiku. It's like 1,000 different needs that cannot all be catered for. Let's just go back to the importance of maybe having an employer with a listening ear.
There are career tracks. Now it's becoming more and more popular in workplaces, and as you design jobs, you categorize jobs. Individual contributors, meaning they don't manage anyone. They are standalone. Okay. Think of a sales executive or a contact center agent or an HR specialist, or standalone jobs, don't manage anybody. Yeah. Then there are those that are people managers.
You haven't managed.
So, there are those of, the studies show that categorizing jobs like this makes you hire people who are wired to perform well in these setups. Because not everyone is designed to lead people. And the fault sometimes we have made as supervisors or CEOs is to think if Victor is performing well as a salesperson, then she can lead a sales, or he can lead a sales team. And that's not necessarily the case. So separating those jobs, understanding what it takes for a person to run them, and then creating supportive mechanisms for people to actually thrive. Now, if you've decided that your calling is to lead people, and as an HR person or a CEO, manager, name it, I have identified you for that seat, then yours is not an easy calling, but it's very emotionally rewarding if you really want it. Leading by compassion is very important. In fact, as I was reading the tweets, I kept thinking, I hope these people are managed well wherever they are. Because looking after people requires a great deal of empathy. I remember a time where we had a technical issue where I worked, and the system could not run payroll on time. My team and I were leaving the office at 2 a.m. Because people have to get paid. You can't go anywhere. But then compassion has to kick in here, where if I've let someone get home, leave the office at 2, even for me, then they can come in a little later. They can sleep in, they can rest, they can recalibrate and come back refreshed. But there are scenarios, I have dealt with enough grievances where we are leaving at 2 a.m., boss is calling us back at 5, and then he or she is not grateful. And leading people requires for you to have a lot of empathy. And if you feel, and I don't fear saying this though, that if you feel you're not designed to manage people with empathy and have a listening ear, and I imagine for Abby, if whoever managed her was more attentive, if you don't feel you're hardwired to manage people, be intentional about gaining these skills that you not necessarily have. If you can't afford to lose that job, be intentional. There are ways in which you can learn. For HR, for CEOs, for executives, invest in coaching and practical mentorship sessions for the people who are responsible for other people at work. As an entrepreneur, invest in leadership skills. I know enough sole proprietors or business owners who would slave drive their people, and they are always resigning.
And I like that because even before I go back to Abby, I spoke to a colleague yesterday who, before he came here, he was in a certain company, a very good company, bagging some of the biggest deals that you see in our markets every day. But sometimes you get to hear stories, even in big corporations outside Kenya, multinationals, and they tell you that part of the profit that you see, very glamorous figures being put there, comes actually from blood. Because it's people going home at 2 a.m. and being back in the office by 7.
It is. And that speaks to now you what can you do? If you want to earn a certain salary, there are some industries that are very demanding, especially when you're coming up in your career. They are very demanding. But the onus is on organizations. My dear CEOs, my dear executives, the risk of not listening, of not looking at the health metrics that tell the story. If leave uptake is low, absenteeism, if you talk to managers, they'll tell you, my people suddenly usually disappear. I can't reach them. They switch off their phone. If that reports of that kind are high, and you have a momentary rise in performance, because that's what usually people, that distracts decision makers and leaders. They're like, but I'm seeing numbers. I'm seeing that people are not taking leave, but Modhoni then...
And that's what matters.
And I am told that often. If I let them go on leave, my numbers will dip. Guess what? The rise in numbers is likely to be very short-lived. And the price you will pay is some unexpected, very elongated dip in all manner of performance measures. And sales is not the only thing. Revenue is not the only thing. Fraud is an issue. Because if you have people who are tired, disengaged, they're not taking breaks, they're getting anxiety fits when you call them. If they see something going wrong, will they say so? Very, very unlikely. If you're lucky, you'll get a whistle blow here and there. But the risk of not vesting, or investing rather, in a well-designed job or a well-trained people leader who is empathetic and listens and is intuitive and is interested in, you're a new mom, you know, what does this mean for you? You're a new dad, what does this mean for you? You seem unwell, or you know, you seem disengaged. What's the issue? Privately, you know, someone who is attuned to listening. If you're not investing in that, then the momentary rise in whatever KPIs or performance measures will
be temporary.
Very temporary.
Abby, before you decided to take this step, and now that you have already taken it, given what you do right now, how much of your previous experience, especially with your last job, has informed the job that you have taken up right now?
Awesome. Well, I'll start with this. There's a pertinent point that you raised about comparison. And I think comparison is genuinely killing our generation very slowly. And majorly living in an information age where technology is key. It creeps in because one second you get into Instagram and you see, Allah, my classmate already is driving a Range Rover, you know, and you're wondering, okay, fine, whether I don't want it to affect me, and I understand where I'm coming from, I understand my background, I understand my my income, I do understand all these dynamics, whether I like it or not, this subconsciously and subliminally affects how we think. But it's important and it's key to notice and understand and appreciate where you are in life, because I'll say this for sure, different seasons in life dictates different things. I remember when I was starting off in my career, I'll tell you for sure, I knew I had to put in the blood, the sweat, and the tears, and I did. I put in those extra hours. I literally asked questions. I was nagging to people. I said, like, so how do you do this? How do you do this? Can I? Well, because I knew I had to grow. I knew I'm young, I'm growing in the career, I need to learn. And that's the thing where we lose it, because also for my generation, we get to a point where we become quite complacent, and we live in a microwave generation where we want things to come like this, you know, like at a snap of a finger. Yet we have to know and learn and remember, these things we see people have, they've worked for it. So I also have to work for it. But now, like I've constantly kept saying, it becomes detrimental when you overdo it, when you stretch it too much to the point where you start losing the balance of, okay, fine, I can no longer breathe well, my system is changing, my body is no longer able to take this levels of pressure, you know, I can't relate with people. Now that becomes a problem. However, now back to your question, I can say that I'm a Christian. I'm a staunch Christian, and I believe that nothing that God has allowed us to go through goes to waste. God will literally use everything that He's taught you. So every single experience that I received in my previous job, how to deal with people, how to handle my boss, how to handle pressure levels, how to literally balance all these things, I picked them all, I compounded them, and I was like, okay, you know what? I will take them to this other job. And that's how I got the other job that I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, she's amazing. She's raised another very valid point about personal. I mean, because, I mean, as a person, you're young, you're aggressive, Nelly. You really want to do more all the time. You feel like there's energy in your veins. But that has to come with some balance as well, because it could be self-detrimental.
Yes, exactly. That's very true. And I think that's the onus, especially for new employees coming into the organizations, is on HR to also guide these young people as they come in with so much energy. They want to learn everything. They want to do everything. They want to work till 8, 9 p.m. It's really for HR to also, because they're the ones at the workplace. So they have to guide these young people and tell them, yes, it's important to really learn and get all this, the zeal and everything, and you'll grow, but also take some time off for yourself, because what happens, we've seen the trends. I mean, you can share what has been happening in the organizations, what has been going on. If you spend all your time at work, then you lose out on your on your private life, on your rest, on your nutrition, on all these other things that are also very important to us. So it really, at that point, when someone comes into the organization, I think the HR has the full responsibility to ensure that they're informed of how to take care of themselves.
And the HR is there. That sometimes when you're chasing these issues of profitability, your bottom line, if you get a workhorse, it's the better.
To correct Nelly, HR creates the framework, yes, but it's where you're sending this young person to actually do the work. This manager, this person who we're calling a team leader. Yes, for HR we have to be very intentional to enable them to become great leaders. But in themselves, they have received a calling to lead. They should also create a great environment of mentorship, know how to mentor, know how to temper and manage ambition, know when you actually get, and team dynamics are complex. When you have more than 4 or 5 people, you tend to know who is going to carry the rest and who are going to identify, this person will do everything anyway. So we are just padding the cushion. But you know how to manage the team dynamics, learn what team dynamics look like, invest in a lot of psychological, behavioral type economics, knowledge, just don't assume team leadership is just, don't take it for granted, that it's reviewing a report, it's approving leave, it is marking work that is not
because
good or bad.
those markings that represent people's
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I have a very challenging question here. So, because you've mentioned investments a lot, but investment sometimes, I mean, Nelly can tell you they don't come cheap. Do you come cheap, Nelly? As a professional, as a coach, you don't come cheap, do you?
No.
Okay. So that means investing in my people sometimes means hiring professionals, and they'll give me such a huge bill, which again, for the company means spending a lot of money. Let me read you a funny quote I saw somewhere. So the CFO asked the CEO, what if we invest in developing our people and they leave us? And the CEO responds, what if we don't and they stay?
Very, very valid risks there raised by the CEO. But the thing the CEO there doesn't understand is the cost of not investing in people. An investment can be categorized in non-financial and financial. It's one of my favorite things to do and to talk to executives about. The non-financial, we fixate on the financial. Training, this, that. But the non-financial, especially if you have a good medical partner, they help you find the Nellies of this world who are experts in wellness. And they help educate the HR team and line managers on how to design work well and how to lead well in a way that it doesn't destabilize the mental wellness of your people, and you actually get the work done, and you yourself go home happy and you sleep well at night. I'm obsessed with a good night's sleep. So the non-financials for the CEO, look at the non-financial ways you can invest. your time to mentor. Don't close yourself off. Be available to share your life experiences with these young people. Collect the Abbeys of this world into a room. Use that as a way to take a break, you know. Lunchtime today, we'll spend with the CEO, and he will tell us his journey. She will tell us her journey. And through that, get some sense of relief and comfort that we are not at all mad when we challenge or question. Task your managers and your chief CFOs to do that too. Tell stories around the workplace. You know, non-financial.
Do you sometimes think that they are conflicting before this break? Do you think that sometimes there are conflicting responsibilities? So the HR, if you go to the offices, by the way, it's so fancy, they have written things on how they're making the workplace very healthy. But on the other hand, the person they're seconding you to manage you directly has on the wall things like increasing profitability, accounting for work hours, and you end up having conflicting, you know, objectives.
Yeah, but I think that conflicting in objectives comes because from the top, that's the CEO, at the CEO level, or from the leadership of the organization, then they're not making it very clear what is important for him or for her, for the employees to be. Does the CEO or the leader of the organization believe that employees also need to be taken care of to be more productive? And brings also to the joke or the quote that you're bringing. So it all begins at the top. Then when it begins at the top, then everyone follows the leader.
Okay. I know I said this before the other break, but I'm saying it again. We have dwelt so much on what the employer can do and what it means. But what if your employer doesn't take care of you? Do you continue to suffer? I think not. So what do you do on a personal level? That's what we talk about after this quick break. Don't go too far. My guests are staying with me.
Get the best value for your money by subscribing today for Classic Bouquet at only 899 shillings for 30 days to enjoy 64 channels. Classic Bouquet. Premium content on Star Times. Subscribe today.
Wonderful, your baby's quite active.
After I discovered Molfix, I rediscovered my baby. She's jumping and running around.
Well, we call that the Molfix Comfort. Thanks to its elastic side bands, Molfix provides freedom of movement for your baby. All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Fresh fried ginger has ginger oil, which is good for a healthy living lifestyle. It combines wonderfully on salads, stir-fries, when basted on roasted meat, or simply sprinkled on your favorite dish. Now available in 250 ml, 500 ml, and 1 liter.
Yeyote unataka kumake dream zake zikam true, tutawak na wewe kuzitimiza kwa urahisi. Hii ndio Africanacity. Hii ni Absa.
Ni super poa kuvaa barakoa. Ni super poa kuvaa barakoa. Je, unajua kwamba mtu yeyote mwenye umri wa miaka 6 au zaidi anaweza kuwa superhero kwa kuvaa barakoa? Ndiyo kabisa, anaweza. Kama hujafikisha miaka 6, usijali. Wewe pia unaweza kuwa superhero kwa kuwakumbusha ndugu zako na wazazi wako wavae barakoa zao. Kuvaa barakoa kunasaidia kujilinda wewe na kuwalinda wengine dhidi ya virusi. Ni super poa kuvaa barakoa.
Today we focus on matters of the heart.
I was so depressed about it because I was still young. Then I didn't know if it could be treated.
Heart arrhythmias, what are they? What impact do they have?
It can make your heart weak. It can make you black out. It can cause sudden cardiac death. And for some, you'll just live miserably with that arrhythmia.
Walking was a problem. I can't go somewhere by myself.
And if you went through this when you were pregnant, how did you handle it?
That's why I had to resign from work.
If they seek treatment earlier, it is something that can be rectified.
Lucozade. Energy to get through it. AMRC's objectives are aligned with the government's affordable housing pillar of the Big Four agenda. Visit any of the participating financial institutions today and start your home ownership journey. Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, unlocking liquidity for affordable housing.
You're still watching Your World here on NTV, a very interesting conversation that has even boiled off here with my guest this morning, with Doni Murithi. She's an HR specialist and the co-founder of Mshauri Careers, in studio with me, as well as Nelly Kinyanjui. She's the holistic wellness coach. And of course, Abi Naini Turere, who is a youth mentor, and they are staying with me for this final lap of this conversation. And now that we have really dwelt on the importance of these things and achieving that work-life balance, if my employer, and you have categorically mentioned how they can go about it, what if they don't do it, Nelly?
I think the onus is us as well as individuals to check, where are we at? How are we feeling? And when you start feeling those things we were talking about earlier, are you feeling tired? Are you feeling fatigued, anxious, overwhelmed, headaches with no end? You just keep popping the pill, indigestion. You're just feeling very discomfort. You're not feeling your normal self. You try to put in time at work and you feel very distracted. Then it's time to just check in with yourself. Do you need to seek help? And I think the first point is to get someone to help you. Talk to a coach. Talk to a wellness coach. They will guide you. And what I've found, when you talk to someone, they're able to look at you individually at the level where you are at. If it's at work, what's going on? Is it the boss? If it's at home, is it a sister? Is it a brother? Is it a spouse? Is it your children? Because there's a lot going on within us as humans. So we must find ways to also be able to take care of ourselves, because it's not all the time that the boss will take care of all of us. I'm sure, like here at Nation, you're so many employees, and even as much as your supervisor is also responsible for you, be also responsible for yourself. And even that being the first point of contact, there are also other things that you can do. Do exercise. Exercise is very useful. Just to get back here, to re-energize your body. Get enough sleep. Are you sleeping well? Get enough nutrition. What kind of food are you eating? Are you just running downstairs for chips and soda, or what are you eating? Because how you replenish your body also matters. How much coffee are you taking throughout your day? It's to look at all these things. Are you breathing? Because when we are tense and anxious, we tend not to breathe very well. We tend to have very short breaths, and we are not getting even enough oxygen to our brains. and you find now your creativity is actually killed. If you're a writer and you're writing a story, you're just stuck. You're like, I'm getting a block, a mental block. But it's because you're actually not taking care of your mental capability, including the normal, easy, simple things that you can do to take care of yourself. That's breathing, eating well, getting fresh air outside, even just having a conversation with a friend or a colleague, which is off work. And I think most importantly is also to have boundaries. What kind of boundaries are you putting in for yourself?
I'm interested in this part.
Like if you come to work and it's time to get to work, then Muthoni comes and is like, hey, what's up? How was last night? And you know this is the time you've scheduled for yourself to focus on work. Are you going to entertain Muthoni, or are you going to get back to work and you tell Muthoni, can we speak at lunchtime? There's something I'm focusing on. Or do you get distracted and you go focus on Muthoni and you lose your work? Then at the end of the day, you're catching up at midnight while Muthoni is sleeping. And she was also having her breather. And the other thing is when you go home, are you continuing to work? Are you continuing just to keep working? You finish work at 5. I'm getting much
interested in this point.
You finish work at 5, you get home, you open your laptop, your kids are there if you have children, or your siblings are there, or you're with your friends, but your friends are there enjoying themselves. You're on the phone responding to work emails or work SMSs. When do you shut off? Because it's also important to decide you have a mental shut-off. Because if you don't have a mental shut-off, as we're saying off air, then you find yourself, you've gone to sleep, but you're still preparing that presentation, which you haven't finished. But if you prioritize, plan your time, and you decide by this time today, I will be done with my work, then you'll ensure if you had a presentation to prepare, if you had a story to write, you've written it, you've completed, and when you go to sleep, you actually sleep. When you're spending time with your loved ones later on, then you're doing exactly that. If you're taking your walk, you're actually doing exactly that. So it's also about being present where you are at that time. Not worrying about the past, not worrying about backlog of work, not worrying about a business deal you didn't close, but you're in that present moment. And not even also not worrying a future about a meeting that is coming up tomorrow, because you've already set everything right and you know you're ready. Then tomorrow you'll take what you need to do at that particular time. So it's being able to prioritize, being able to manage your time, being able to put in boundaries where you need to. And boundaries, I don't mean that you put up walls and you don't engage with people, but it's being able to know when is the right time to do what, and also being able to respect other people's spaces so they can also be able to respect your space.
I mean, Muthoni, when we talk, because when I was researching about this, one of the things I ran into is learning to say no. And I can tell you, Abby is one of those very nice people who, I mean, and there's so many people like that who sometimes you find it hard to say no. So the boss has come and has said, do this. You know you have done like triple shift already, but you know there's some work here. How do you even say no?
You just do. And you have to build context, and there has to be a virtue in you that is rooted in courage. And in terms of now the priorities of this concept of work-life balance is seasonal, and we all find ourselves in different contexts. There's I was joking with a friend recently, there's the era before COVID-19 and the era after.
After COVID.
So we were talking about those days in 2019. But now we are working from home. The boundaries are blurred.
Yes, yes.
Jobs are scarce for those who are not lucky to get full-time jobs. You're chasing gigs. There are multiple platforms where people are doing all manner of odd jobs. It's great innovation that has come on board, but we are now more than ever on demand on our phones, on our laptops, on social media. We are chasing leads. We are looking for work. We are looking. So first of all, the no starts with yourself. The courage to tell yourself, no, I will not do this today, or I will not sleep at midnight today. I just won't. It starts there. If you don't have the courage to tell yourself no, then by no means can you have courage to tell a boss, a client that, you know, beyond 1 p.m. on Saturday, I am not available. And no, I've not had since, and I have enough connections who have businesses who have told a customer that they are not available from a certain time and they've postponed a meeting, and the customer has walked away. You know, they will not walk. if your job is that good,
yeah,
have the courage first to tell yourself, no,
yeah,
I'm going to have a Saturday this Saturday. Then call your customer and tell them, or call your boss and say, I understand how important this work is, and I want to give it my best. I need Saturday to do X, Y, and Z, to rest, to do some research, to reflect. I will pick this up on Monday, and I assure you the timelines that you are according to this will not suffer.
What if your job involves breaking news situations like mine?
Well, that no starts with you as well. Because, as Nelly has said, why haven't you not worked into your lifestyle ways in which you do get balance? Ways in which you called me yesterday, you needed to take a nap. I love that. So it is a case of, you're very enthusiastic, Mondani, to discuss tomorrow, but I am not available.
Okay.
And I will pick this up with you later.
Okay.
So that by the time emergencies arise, when you're called upon instantly to report on something or to respond, you're found ready, you're prepared, you're rested, your tank has something. It's not maybe all the way full, but it has something.
Nelly, a fantastic point that she raises, really, because back then it used to be very easy somehow. Not really easy, but at least easier to manage this thing. So you know, after 5 o'clock, once I leave the office, it's now me time and my family time. But now you work from home, you are in your bed with your laptop. It's like every time is working time.
Yeah.
You're in the kitchen making coffee while responding to that text. You're like drawing your curtains while at the same time responding to this text on WhatsApp. And it's all about, and you can't even see the difference between work and not being at work.
I think work from home has changed the whole dynamic as well, because for work at home situations is different for each and every one of us. For some it's working in the bedroom, for others it's working in the kitchen, for others it's working on the balcony, others are lucky enough to have an office. So it's a very different scenario for all of us. But I think it's still important for you to define, what time do I actually clock in? What time do I get to do my actual work? And that's why planning is very important. Because if you're not planning your day, then you end up losing time. And what happens? The night before you watch Netflix, and this is very real life scenario that I've had from people I've worked with. You watch Netflix the whole night, so you wake up at 12 noon, your boss has already sent you work.
Several mails.
Sent you work, so you're on a panic mode. So if you are on a panic mode, that means you can't even plan what you're going to do. You just get in, check into your email, and start working. And you're harassed. So it's still very important at the end of the day, whether you're working from home or you're going to the office, just plan your time and find a time when you say, this is time for actually doing actual work. But when you decide it's time for not doing actual work, then clock out and go and do other things.
Okay. Abby, definitely young people, and I think once you put in some 5 years or 10 years in your career, there are some risks that you can afford to take. You know, someone else could hire you, you've already built a network and all that. But young people are at that stage when this is the first job, they need to protect it at all. How do you, perhaps maybe from your own experience then, how do we teach young people the importance of bothering and caring about your wellness as well, even as much as you care about the job?
Yes, I'll see this for sure. Just like I was saying, planning is fundamental. I remember when I started in 2021, I told myself I'm going to do myself a favor. I bought myself as a gift a journal where it has like a diary, so I get to plan my to-do list each and every single day. So what I do is I either do it the previous day, so at night, or I do it extremely early in the morning, so that I'm able to plan the most important things that I have to do, people that I need to call, places that I need to be. And most often than not, you need to have some grace on yourself. You won't check all the lists. But this is the important thing. Have those boundaries. I normally tell myself, I think something that I have learned from my previous job and mistakes that I did is that I have learned to catch myself. And by catching myself, I mean this. There's a moment where you get and you're going a little bit too fast. You're extreme, like you're trying to secure that bag, secure that money, secure that deal, secure that career. Have balance. Be okay. They feel like we who are just naturally I'm a social butterfly.
Yeah.
I love people. I love being around people. So when you kill that from me, you're literally like killing me slowly. But the minute you just keep plucking that, you're killing me slowly.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure that in my to-do list, people I need to speak to, I'm going to speak to them. The places that I need to be, I'll be. And when I'm working, as much as I'm a social butterfly, imagine I'll work at that particular point. So having those boundaries, setting those to-do lists, and catching yourself really quick and telling yourself, okay, wait, hold up, you've gone too fast. You know, and even having those people who have invest in having a very potent social circle that is able to keep you in check. And I think for me, that has really helped. And another important thing for sure, and I'll tell you this, writing is not for everyone, but I consider writing a very important catharsis, because some of us cannot afford a therapist. We cannot afford a life coach, sadly, as much as we would want to. Or we're working in spaces where I know we're working in spaces, some people are working in spaces where you don't have a HR manager, you know, or someone to actually watch over you. It's you or you. I normally tell people, even if you have that, you definitely have a book and a pen. So do this. Sit down and write the most important things for you. Is your family important? Is this part of your job important? Is your friends important? Some people like me, is school very important? And try and calculate the compounding effect of how to handle all these things. Because I remember for me, I sat down and I was like, my health is quite important. I remember sitting down and saying, you know what, my school is important, my family is important, my social life is important, ministry is important, this part of my job is important. But the minute I keep losing on these things just because I'm pursuing a certain level of career success, I'm losing myself. So I can tell the young generation for sure, sit down and count the costs. If you can't afford that therapist, if you can't afford that life coach, if you can't afford that, you know, that important person to talk to, love yourself enough to get yourself a paper and a pen, write down the things that are important for you and weigh them down. I mean, it's a little you can just, you know, give yourself. Yeah.
Okay, Abby, do you think then if we don't pay attention to these things, do you think sometimes we might end up securing the bag but lose ourselves in the process?
Yes. I mean, I believe you've had this quote before. It's lonely at the top, right? And you get a bunch of, I had the privilege of actually sitting down with a bunch of people who have, you know, like they've secured the bag, they have the money, you know, like they've risen up the career, like the career ladders, and they're doing really well. But you ask them, okay, fine, how, you know, like how is your social life? Because you have the money, yes, but where are you taking the money? Because it gets so sad when you actually have the money, yet you're so sick, you can't even enjoy it. You know, because I remember I was working for my money. I was getting the little or as much as I was getting. But then I was constantly getting sick. I don't even have, I never got the privilege of even just going out with my friends and having something like an interesting lunch and having a proper conversation, going for a vacation, you know, or even just going and buying yourself a mindy out there and just enjoy just like the small and tiny things that we really overlook. But the thing is, we overlook it and you get the money. At the end of the day, imagine you're going to come back and sit in your house alone. Alone. And you're thinking, okay, fine, why was I working for this money at the end of the day if I can't spend time with my family? If all I can do is secure the bag, go back home and give them a check.
And every time we ask you to come for a coffee date, the problem is not whether you can afford the coffee, but if you have the time for the coffee.
Exactly. It's quite sad.
All right. Let me come back to you then, Nelly, on this issue, because part of this is also the socialization. I mean, there are people like from my gender, the male gender, we are socialized from a very young age to know that mwanaume ni kuteseka. So, and that breeds some bit of denial in you, that even when you're doing badly, you think,
Yeah, I think that's also another issue. And I think it's also cultural because, and as much as it's mwanaume ni kuteseka, I think now it's even spread. It's not only for the male, but also even for the female. You believe that you have to really work throughout, be busy. And if someone meets you on a random Wednesday and you're not at work, they're like, Au kwenda kazi? Today you're not at work. So it becomes like the question is, why aren't you working? The alternative question, if you say, I'm not working today, I'm resting.
Yes.
Oh, you're not working? So the alternative question is only, why aren't you working? So it's also that cultural thing. But I think I also want to just get to something else. When even in corporate, when you're at that point where you're really working, pushing, what's the reason? When there's that point where you can't tell yourself no, but it's always saying yes, what's the reason? Just what's behind that? Is there some self-doubt that's happening within you that you think you have to show yourself to your boss, that you have to work so hard to impress your boss to climb the ladder? And it's a culture that we've showed that you have to really impress the boss, you have to do extra, but behind it, if you peel the onion and go get behind that, you find there's a lot of self-doubt that is happening among people across the board, whether they're employees or they're in their businesses. So it's also trying to really work on that so that they get the confidence to be able to also be bold enough to what she was saying, that you're bold enough to actually tell your boss it's fine, and to be bold enough but to also be competent in your job.
Okay.
So you're performing, you're delivering. If you're told to write a story or you're told to do your work, then you know what exactly you're supposed to do. You do it. And if you tell your boss, this one, honestly, I can't do it in an hour, then your boss is like, yeah, I get Victor, I totally get it, because you deliver. But if you have a history of not delivering, you're given work and you rush the last minute, then definitely you'll be in that rush throughout. And that's why we also have this culture of being busy. Someone calls you, wants to have a conversation with you, you're like, I'm busy. You're like, okay, who's idol again? Did I call you because I was idol? So it's that culture of just being very busy, and you just want to sound like you're extremely busy, even when you're just sitting and just maybe on Google or just doing stuff online. But also, can you be able to just step back and find out what's of priority to you? As Abby said, prioritize that you need to do that day. Be very clear on what you need to do. And even as you decide what you need to do, decide also what you need to do for yourself. Today, what am I going to do? What time, at 1 o'clock or whatever time you take your breaks, what am I going to do today? Or today, tomorrow, am I going to carry lunch from home to work? Because obviously, if you if you buy from a cafeteria or from a restaurant, it's definitely not going to be as healthy. So it's also being able to plan your time, being able to plan yourself, then that way you're able to plan around the things around you, whether it's your sleep, your diet, your exercise, your rest, your finances, your purpose, your relationship. So you'll be able to plan everything that makes you whole as a person, so that you're including all these things in your day. And you don't feel like you have to wait for a season that I'll take leave, I'll go and take my rest. Or I'll take leave, that's when I'll achieve balance. Or I'm working towards balance. Like we were saying before, it's a daily thing. It's not something that you work towards and become balanced, no. But it's also looking, where am I in my life right now? What's important right now? Am I connecting with people? Do I need to prioritize the connection with people? Or financially, is there an issue with my finances? Am I not budgeting properly? And that is even causing me stress? Then can I work on my budget so that now, at every time you're looking at the situation you are in your life right now. And an exercise that I always encourage people to do is the wheel of life. So looking at that wheel of life, what are your priorities? And you choose about 3 areas. When you choose those, then you're able, in a month, to see if these are the areas I want to focus on. And that way you find you're spending some time on yourself, and you're also being able to be a better and more productive and fruitful person at your workplace. Okay.
Let me stay with you, Modoni, on the issue of socialization. Do you think you as managers and of humans and people in workplaces also socialize people the wrong way? Because every time you are in the office, they don't applaud you for taking care of yourself or your mental health or going for a walk. They always applaud you for taking in much more work than, let's applaud Nelly because, you know, she came in early when the work was needed. Let's applaud Modoni because she did this and that, and the work of 3 people when the other person was missing. No one really tells you, hey, let's applaud Modoni for taking 2 weeks off to take care of herself.
You bring a great idea to the table, Victor, and definitely there should be more awards like that, that praise attention to one's well-being as an example to the rest, definitely. And to the CEOs watching, or if you're at a level of influence, and you're not a fan of fluff, because as people managers or HR managers are often accused of bringing fluffy ideas to the table, then if you're a fan of, if you favor evidence-based decision-making, you want to see evidence, commission an investigation in your organization, in your own company as, as an entrepreneur, if you have more than 2-3 people who are working for you. Look at leave as one of the most basic ways of knowing if there is a level of balance. And why should you be interested in metrics like leave, absenteeism, spike in outpatient medical expenditure? Why should you be interested? It is a predictor of things to come. It is a predictor that, first of all, it's an indication that people are spending a lot of time at work. Why are they spending a lot of time at work? Is there a crisis with a new system? Are we migrating into a new system? Is it the COVID-19 season and we need reports and things in? Depending on the context, they are allowable indications. But make quick measures. Sell to the board, call HR to the room to help you sell to the board, and need to invest in ways in which we can help people take time off so that they can replenish and be better at catching and addressing the risks that really matter to you. Because at the end of the day, it's the mind that needs to rest. The body and the mind need to rest. The abnormal one would be, no one is taking time off. Reported cases of absenteeism. Spike of outpatient medical. And we are not selling. So we are not making money. So draw a correlation between the two. Call finance person to the room. Call HR to the room. And say, okay, the data I'm looking at is showing me when my competitors are selling a lot more than me. And I have a big leave liability. CEOs will know this. Finance people will know this. Because if your people are not taking leave, in itself is a risk. Because if someone leaves up without notice, you have to pay them their leave days. You can't just take them away. Okay, so then it is, if it all comes down to it and you're a numbers person, for you to unlock the potential of the people you have, because it's costly to replace them and to upskill them, then invest in ways in which they can rest, become more creative at work, bring more ideas to the table, be more vibrant in meetings. Another thing you can do as a CEO or an executive, participate in meetings and listen to what people are talking about. If there is an increase in complaints or silence, no one is contributing anything.
Guys, can we, does anyone have any word to say?
Nothing. All the Zoom, everyone's video is off, microphone is off. That in itself is an indication. If you look at all these data points, leave up, leave low, absenteeism up, meeting participation low, revenue low, fraud reports
but people are always at work.
Low. Yeah, but people are always around. No. You work backwards now and call on these fluffy ideas. Okay, now what can we do to reverse this?
I'm sorry I have to mention this, but that issue of productivity versus the time you spend in the office as well, because, I mean, you look at people in their careers that your job depends on your productivity. So let's say you're selling something or you're involved in deals. So you've secured a significant deal depending on the size of the company for the day. Are you allowed to leave at 11? But if you try to leave at 11, the boss is looking at you like you're defrauding the company in a certain, where are you going at 11? And you could sit there the whole day at 5 p.m. and not really sell anything at all.
If that boss is listening to us right now, dear boss, stop such habits. Be more humane and practical and realistic about what work really is. Educate yourself. Because if you listen to Victor just now, and that is you, what you're doing is not right. It's about output. It's all about the quality of output. It is not the volume of time I see Victor in front of my face. and it's not about that. Educate yourself. Get, Kobe Bryant has this thing I saw where he has a group of mentors that he used to go to for guidance. If you have a business, if you are a leader, find people who have walked your path and ask them, how have you done this well? And you will hear. If none of them will tell you micromanage and see that someone is here.
For me.
No one will tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying that is because definitely if someone has achieved a certain target, if you let them leave at, let's say, any time, any of the times I mentioned, it means they get more time to spend with their family. And tomorrow they might want to come in, deliver much more. But you can as well have them until 4 p.m. They have not delivered anything, and they have not even spent time with their family at all. Yeah. Anyway, because of time, this conversation has to end. Maybe, Abby, from where you sit, what would you like to see change? What would you like to see differently, especially in terms of workplaces in 2021?
I think I would like to see people who are more focused on what they're doing, because we live in a generation where stress and fatigue are a badge of honor. We carry them as a badge of honor, where, you know, it's how are you doing? I'm fatigued, I'm tired, then, you know, that is equated to the amount of success we're doing. I think I would like to see that change. And I would like to see also bosses who are more concerned about not just the productivity of people and what you're bringing to the company, but also even about the well-being of their people. Yes.
Okay. All right. And because you're the youngest person in this conversation, I want you, as part of your closing remarks, to talk to young people today about the importance of work-life balance and always minding about their wellness.
Awesome. I think I will tell the younger generation that I think there's a quote by Michelle Obama that the quote goes that as you're creating that to-do list, ensure that you prioritize yourself and put yourself first in that to-do list. Like, how are you faring on? Ensure that you're doing fine before you ensure that you meet that goal. You key in, you know, like you secure that bag. You meet that deadline. Ensure first that you are actually okay, but because you are quite important. Because the minute you're lethargic, the minute you're dying inside, it means that even your job is absolutely going to be you know, it's going to fall in the cracks. So I'm just going to tell the younger generation, love yourself, prioritize yourself fast. Yeah, jobs are going to come and you're going to ace it. You're going to make it. Yeah, so don't be a slave to that check. Don't be a slave to that check. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Nelly, maybe, because clearly for what my biggest takeaway from this conversation is the end. I mean, the means matters as much as the end. What would you like to see differently, especially with work and how people balance their time?
For me, I think what I would want to encourage people is to take responsibility for their own lives, because it's you. It's you doing the work, and your work or your business is only as healthy as you are. If you don't take care of yourself, then you'll not be able to perform. You don't want to work for a year, then at the end of the year, you, like Abby's example, at the end of the year, you're at a place where you can't be able to work, you're seeing a call from work, you're anxious, and this is what feeds you. So take care of yourself, and include all these things that we've shared here today in your day, so that at the end of the day, you're living a healthy and fulfilled life. There's nothing more important than your health at the end of the day.
Okay. You represent human resource managers, as well as, I'll add you this title, managers, for this conversation. Talk to the people who manage people in workplaces today and how we can help their employees achieve a more balanced and healthy life.
I would say back to where we began with defining work-life balance. And it's seasonal. There are times when you have to work extra, put in extra hours because of circumstances.
Okay.
And there are times when it's normal state. Now to managers, HR managers, you can't serve from an empty cup. So incorporate the wellness tips that Nelly has talked about. Take care of yourself first, because that's how you will know the value that self-care has on you getting that level of balance that means a lot to you, so that you can be able to see now in the people you lead, of whom you're responsible of creating these frameworks that create that work for them. And on top of that, be empathetic, compassionate, listen, be human. It's the human element that is most important when you're looking after people, because they're the ones executing after all. Trust is also very important. We are adults. Trust them. They'll surprise you. But at the top of that, as Abby has said, you first on your to-do list, take care of yourself.
Okay. Nelly, Abby has also mentioned that there are people who, unlike her, because I think she at least had some bit of luxury to quit. She mentioned that she doesn't have kids, so she can quit and just use the money that she has to take care of herself. But there are people who have responsibilities and they can't quit their jobs. But from where you sit, is this toxic environment worth staying?
I think when you say a toxic environment, my question would be, how are you responding to this toxic environment? So it all begins with you. So it's also about working on yourself to be able to survive in this toxic environment or to be able to handle the situations that are coming in this environment. Because you don't have to quit, but it's also being able to know when to react in a certain way. If your boss is the one who's bringing the toxic environment or your colleagues, then you know how to respond. So at the end of the day, it's really the responsibility falls within the individual. And it's important, if you can, seek help, talk to a coach, talk to a psychologist, talk to someone who will help you be able to move from one step to the other.
Wonderful. What a wonderful conversation we've been having. We've been talking about work-life balance in Kenya. Why is it important, and how you can go about perhaps achieving it on your own, and how the people who manage you can help you achieve a more healthy work-life balance. I'll allow each one of you some 30 seconds to give us your closing remarks. Let me just start with you, Nelly. 30 seconds, sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much. For my closing remarks is just to ask you guys who are watching here today, just to be able, and I'll repeat this very, very often, don't blame someone else for what is happening to you, but find out for you, what are you doing in that situation? What is your response? And once you find out your response, then be able to know how can you respond even better so that you can be able to live a more comfortable life.
Okay. Madhoni, a parting shot?
Well, my message is to HR leaders and team leaders, CEOs, people on boards who can influence how work is done. Inculcate a coaching mindset, use evidence to help guide the decisions, look at the data in front of you, take away all the bias and put the human first. Because without them, then there is no organization. The technology we pride ourselves in having will not work. That bright ideas that make us beat our competitors will not be presented. And a lot of that is achieved when they rest.
All right. Thank you very much. And my key takeaway is the means matters as much as the end. And that's where we leave this conversation. We've been talking about work-life balance. Many thanks to my wonderful guest this morning joining me in studio, Muthoni Murithi. She's a HR specialist or human resource specialist and co-founder of Mshauri Careers. You can check out her work. I think it's online. As well as Nelly Kinyanjui. She's a holistic wellness coach. You can also reach out to her and she'll be able to help you if you need professional help. As well as Abby Naini Turere, who is a youth mentor, and she's been able to give us her personal story. That's where we leave it. Thank you also to you, our viewers, for keeping us company for the last 2 hours. For me and the entire team, it's goodbye and God bless.
Presenting the new Harpic bathroom cleaner. Compared to ordinary detergents, its thick formulation gives you superior cleaning and kills 99.9% of germs and viruses all around the bathroom.